All right, so that wraps up step 4 of the Passport to Creativity system. We've already gone through 4 of the 5 steps. The first step is understand why it's great to be creative and understand why it's worth discovering or rediscovering your creativity and unleashing it. Step 2 is really all about belief, because you need to be able to believe that you're creative in order to be able to tap into those capabilities. Step 3 is know, where you get to learn what the creative process is and the different models to help you understand how to access your creativity, and that there's clear steps on how to be able to do that. Step 4, which we just finished, is experience. We want to get you an opportunity to sense and feel the shift of moving your left brain, kind of quieting that down and going into the nonlinear thinking space. So that brings us to step 5, begin. So step 5 of the Passport to Creativity system is begin. And so this section is really about giving you some strategies and some tools and some ideas to think about as you begin your path of creativity or rediscovering your creativity, and giving you a place for it to be able to go as far as it can. So we'll talk about things like skills versus talent, and what are the skills you need to learn in order to be able to achieve your visions. We'll talk about self-directed learning, or how to find the right teachers, because it just depends on what works for you, but there's opportunities and there's strategies for doing that. We'll talk about motivation and gamification and how to be able to keep yourself motivated. We'll talk about practice and habits and how to be able to keep yourself on that path. So lots of opportunities to keep going and really get you off on the right foot. I'd like to begin, step 5, begin, with a story from a movie. One of my favorite scenes in a movie was called Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. And spoiler alert, basically it's a movie where he has to go through the same day, Groundhog Day, over and over again. He never gets to escape this day. And for a while, he's taking advantage of it in kind of interesting ways, but not really positive. But eventually he starts to kind of like realize that this is an opportunity that he can embrace. And so he's like trying to learn, he's like, you can see him with like a stack of books, and it's clear he's like ready to like just enjoy life that way. And as he's doing that, like there's a piano concerto in the background. You can see he like notices that, and the next thing you know, he's at a piano teacher's door, knocking on the door and trying to learn piano. And of course, the same day, he's doing it every day, but in the movie, he grows and grows and grows and becomes amazing over time. Now, I'm not saying I ran out and started learning piano the minute I saw that movie, but I definitely remember when I decided I wanted to learn something, that scene came into my mind, and it reminded me of like, yeah, there's this opportunity to grow. And yeah, I don't get the same day, I don't get to grow in one day like he did, but I got a lot of days left, or at least as many days as I've got left, I've got. So, and it reminded me of a quote I also saw later that said, somebody was complaining about, how long it would take to be able to be good at playing the piano. I think it was piano. And, how old would I have to be by the time I'm good? And the person said, the answer was, I think it was Julia Cameron. The answer was, you'll be the same age as you would if you'd never learned. So, fast forward 2 years later, you could have already learned for 2 years or not. So the opportunity to learn is always there. And so that idea of how old you'll be when you're, a certain point, I have my personal experience, which is basically today is my 904th day of playing piano in a row. At least 5 minutes a day. I give myself that goal, 5 minutes a day, no matter what. And I'm averaging about a half hour a day, but all I have to do is 5 minutes, and I can maintain that momentum, and I can maintain that goal, which is very easy to achieve. And I can say now I'm 904 days more experienced in playing piano than I was 904 days ago. And 904 days ago, I could have not done anything, and I'd be here 904 days later, not having learned any of the piano, not had all those moments of experience with the music and enjoyment. And so I really want to impart that idea to you that, today is the next day of your life, and you have all the days before you ahead of you to be able to take advantage of exploring your creativity and growing. So one other story I want to start with and impart to you as you begin your process is this story about some different groups of people that were put together to try to achieve a goal of getting like a marshmallow and some raw spaghetti and some tape and some string, I think, together to be able to create a tower, and who could create the highest tower. And it turned out that there were different groups. Some were like psychologists, some were scientists, some were different types of people. But it turned out the group that was more often successful than most was actually a group of kindergartners. And the reason was because they just started. They didn't talk about it. They didn't plan it. They didn't argue about what the best way to go was first. They didn't draw a bunch of sketches. They just started with the objects and found out what worked and what didn't work. And that was why they were successful. So begin.